begin the first meeting of the Southampton Village Planning Board for the 2021. Can I have a motion to open the meeting?
So moved.
Somebody want to second that?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. The meeting's now in session. Sorry, we're a little delayed. We had some technical difficulty with our Zoom invites, but we're glad everybody's here who's here. This is a combined work session from December 28th and regularly constituted meeting. In most cases, we will probably just skip over the work session part in that several of the applications don't require a great deal of discussion. But in some cases, we may begin each application with a brief work session, in which case it's really just a situation where the board members and advisors and counsel are discussing the application amongst themselves. Kathy, do you want to share the agenda?
Or, okay, you see that?
There we go.
Yep.
Big enough to read?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So our first item on the agenda is an extension request from 554 Hill Street Limited Partners, requesting an extension to January 2022. Remind me, Kathy, I believe at the meeting before this, there was an extension, but it wasn't quite that long. Is this a revision of that request or new? Fill me in on that.
Well, I believe it went back to July. So the extension request is related to the litigation that's pending.
Mhm.
The opposition had filed a lawsuit and and now that's at the board of, how did he put it? Can you see my screen actually? It
Yeah.
has it highlighted?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, it's gone to the appellate division. So things are quite backed up at the state. And it is really good reason to just put it over for a year. There's really no harm in putting it over for a year. And if in the meantime, they submit a final subdivision, if things get resolved, then, we can, it doesn't really matter, but may as well just let them have the extension for a year.
You have two hands up, Gilbert Flanagan and Christopher Bianco, I think for this matter.
So
Okay, I just
Christopher
wanna-
Bianco, so let me just tell you, Christopher Bianco is representing the village on this because Alice is conflicted. So we should hear from Christopher. And Gil is the applicant, of course.
Okay. So Antoinette, could you recognize Chris?
Yes, I am, and I did see their hands. I was just waiting for Kathy to finish up. Okay, they are both coming in.
Stop share for a second so everybody can see.
So does that mean that Alice is recused? Is that, yes?
That's correct.
Okay.
So both of you need to put your camera on and unmute yourselves, I guess.
Good evening, guys.
Hi,
Hi.
nice to meet you.
Hi. So, yeah, in reviewing this, I think ultimately, that we're looking to avoid having a situation where the court rules on the appeal of the Article 78 decision and either modifies the order from the lower court or ultimately reverses it. And then us having done work on it or made decisions on the application, that would be rendered moot or would have to be modified. So rather than going forward with it, we would extend the sketch plan approval and await the appellate division's decision. One thing to note too is that my experience with the appellate division right now, having cases there as we speak, is that I think it's even the 1 year extension from now it's unlikely that we'll get a resolution. So that's something to keep in mind for the board as well as the applicant. He may have to come back here for the 1-year expiration because the way it's looking in Brooklyn right now, they're so overloaded with cases. I think it's unlikely that you'd get a decision before then.
Okay, thank you. Questions, anyone? No. Gil, did you have something to say?
No, I think it's all been said very eloquently for me. We may be back again, but that's the reason we're asking for an extension.
Okay. Well,
Marshall.
if no one has any questions, I think those are pretty valid reasons to grant the applicant's request.
So in that case, you want to ask for a motion? I don't think we need to go into, go from work session to the public meeting, kind of.
So I would make a motion to grant the applicant's request to extend to what, I can't
The
see.
extension of the sketch plan.
Extend the application to January of 22.
Somebody want to second that?
If that's your motion, I will second it
Okay,
with the caveat that this is because of the 78 appeal.
correct.
No other issues are before us, so I'm happy to second that motion.
Antoinette,
Yes. Miss
Would you call the
Claire,
roll?
Miss Claire, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. McFarland?
Aye.
Miss Cowell?
Aye.
Chair?
aye.
Mr. Piazza?
Thank you.
Motion's carried.
Thank you.
So I'm sure that Christopher has other things to do unless you want to stay.
I will go. Thank you so
I was
much.
thinking that. Nice to meet you again. Talk to you
Nice meeting
soon.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Excuse me, I do have one question, just because I know that Gil is on the next application. Do you want to move out and have work session or leave Gil where he is? Just let me know what to do.
Oh, wait. The next application is the Paul and Joan Robinson. So
On that, you've given us an amended motion, I think, an amended resolution.
yeah, there's the public hearing was closed at the last meeting for decision, and a decision for your consideration was circulated. So if you have any questions on that, Alice and I can answer them.
And you amended it at the end, I think, Kathy, by putting in specific reference to the land swap deal.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
the TDR property is referenced, and also the date of the real property subdivision by Suffolk County.
Thank you.
Can we get the decision put on the screen, Kath?
That will take me a second, yes. But yes, definitely. Okay.
So to me, one of the first salient points is the fourth paragraph where it talks about required classification of product, type 1 action, required preparation of a full environmental assessment form. So that full environmental assessment form was performed in 2010, correct?
Yes,
And at that time, was not the groundwater effect of the application, effect of this subdivision on the groundwater pretty extensively examined?
yeah, the expanded EAF went into a lot of detail about the groundwater. Absolutely.
But ultimately, in addition to being a point of review for the planning board under SECR, which doesn't the Suffolk County Department of Health have like the ultimate authority in determining the groundwater effects and in addition to what's happening with SECR?
So yeah, the planning board under SECR, groundwater is one of the resource areas that the planning board looks at. And however, the agency that ultimately reviews what impacts the groundwater the most, which is the sanitary system, is the health department. And so this application had to be reviewed by Suffolk County for real property subdivision. It had to go before Board of Review. There was a requirement that a separate piece of property within the same contributing area be purchased by the applicant and sterilized, so that way that the transfer density of those rights could be moved to the property to allow the subdivision. And the health department ultimately approved the subdivision in February of last year.
So it's possible there was debate within the health department about certain aspects of the water management, but ultimately that authority did approve and grant their approval to the application, correct?
Yeah, in my experience, they take it very seriously. They analyze each application very carefully.
So it would probably be irregular for the planning board to then contest the Suffolk County Board of Health's decision on that, would it not?
It would be, it's very proper for the planning board to rely on the health department for that purpose. Exactly.
I mean, I don't know if there's ever been a situation where we have examined forensically the deliberations of the Suffolk County Board of Health in terms of analyzing the merits of their decision. They are the board that we sort of base our decisions on, would seem to me. So that would be kind of my first question about, I think there's some concern that the board in their consideration of the present, when we reviewed SECRA again today, that we didn't examine the application carefully enough. But that was based on the fact to me that the application already had undergone fairly thorough review back in 2010. And as you pointed out in your analysis of the application, there was no structural changes besides the slight modification of the setback to what effect the application was going to have on the water table.
And actually, in fact, something that we haven't really talked about is that since that application was reviewed by the planning board in 2010, the village has adopted requirements for innovative and alternative wastewater treatment systems, which are more protective of the groundwater than a sanitary system, a conventional sanitary system. And the health department is requiring those systems now. So.
And any action on that property would require those new systems to be installed, correct?
At least on parcel 2. But I believe that anytime a new sanitary system, and the way the code is written, anytime a new sanitary system is put in or changed on a property, they have to put in an IA system.
Yeah.
So, and where the system is on parcel 1 is in an area that it won't work with the subdivision. They have to move it. So they actually show it relocated.
Can we move forward then, Kathy, to the next page?
Of course. Can you see that okay?
Yep. So basically, again, the first four paragraphs are related to the Suffolk County Department of Health Services requirement that the applicant find a piece of property within the same water district, sterilize it. And that was all done to the satisfaction of the Suffolk County Department of Health. And they then forward us the final application for final plat approval after the applicant had fulfilled their requirements, correct?
The health department issued their approval in February of last year. And then once the applicant had that, then they submitted a letter and asked the planning board to reactivate
Right.
the final subdivision. So, yeah, the health department doesn't, they let the applicant do what they're gonna do. So,
Okay. So in consideration of this application, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we had 3 meetings on this in 2020 on this application. And it was only at the very tail end of the 3rd meeting that one of the neighbors made their objections known to us. Board members, can you refresh my memory on that? Is that everybody else's kind of recollection of how that went?
I think that there was a work session in October and the public hearing was on November 2nd.
Mhm.
So I believe that it was only extended the 1 month after that, but we had the work session in October, the meeting in November, and then written comment, allowed for written comment for that
Yep.
following month.
which closed on December 23rd.
And
I
then
think-
we in kind of consideration of the fact of the Zoom meetings and the fact that the notifications may have been difficult given the pandemic, we opened a window for further comment on the application, which had a specific time limit to how much time anyone who was interested in the application would be able to register further comment. And during that time, is there any idea, Kathy, how many people actually made further comment?
I don't have that
Mhm.
number. There was, all I could say is that I reviewed them
Right.
and there were no new substantive comments. These were comments that had been brought up before.
Right.
So,
And Alice, Alice isn't recused on this application, is she? No. So any commentary that came in following that deadline, Kathy, to follow proper procedure, what should the board have done with any communication that were received after the deadline?
you asking Alice or me?
Yeah. Alice?
So after the deadline, it should not be considered because the record is closed.
Could not be considered, right? I mean, it actually would not be proper procedure to consider them.
Correct.
So we have continued to receive communications regarding this application since that time. But in actuality, if we were to follow the proper procedure for the board, those should not be part of the record. So those are really my questions about the decision and about the way we've handled it. I think we've given it a good hard look. I think we've looked carefully at it. I think it was looked carefully at in 2010. And I don't have any further questions. Does anybody else on the board have any comments about this application?
Roy, if I could jump in just on the secret determination.
Okay.
The secret determination from 2010 was still valid.
Right.
Yep.
I recommended to the board after our initial meeting back, I believe in October, that you ask Kathy to review and see if it required any updating.
Yep.
And that I just thought it would be good practice for the board to adopt a new secret determination and make sure that we hadn't missed anything. So that's what happened here.
But in no way were you suggesting that it required another full environmental survey?
No, of course not. In fact, if the board was going to have a different outcome, they would have to undo the original secret determination, which is a standard that we've discussed at the last couple of meetings.
A very high standard.
Correct, absolutely, as it should be.
Yeah.
Because, Kathy, has circulated all these documents. The EAF Part 3 is 27 pages long.
Mhm.
This application was never taken lightly by this board. It's just taken a really long time.
Right.
Chair, I do have, oh, never mind.
Yeah, Roy, I think you've covered the procedure history with this sitting board adequately, is my conclusion. We talked at length about the lack of precision of our being either participants in or directly involved in going to the Suffolk County water people. And that led to a recommendation from us to our advisors to see what we can do about our concern. The length of time is, of course, a major issue. And the question is, has there been something that's occurred in the length of time that renders obsolete the higher standard or more demanding standard of going back, as Alice just said, to the thorough work that was done under SECRA before? I think we discussed it among ourselves fairly extensively. It was not, we agonized, some of us agonized over it because of the change of circumstances. And the fact that the physical outcome with the Suffolk County Board was at a site that is not at one water level. We had there, I believe, from knowledge obtained both by visits to the building department and a lot of work on the flood, all the flooding and water levels in this area that I've gotten independently by other assignments unrelated to this board. There are at least 3 levels of water that are of concern. Some of them flow differently at the surface than they do down the various levels into the sea. It's a north to south flow. But they selected land that is on for at least one of the levels more associated with Lake Agawam than with Old Town Pond. That's their decision. They could have picked something for Phillips Pond. I mean, there are lots of ponds that are at stake depending on which groundwater level you're interested in. I've heard nothing from anyone who volunteered or sent in data, even despite all the commitments that we made for fair play with all concerned in front of us. Nothing occurred to say that there was, in my view, any kind of a fundamental mistake that comes to our power in anything that the water department did. So I'm happy to move ahead with this. And anyone who says it's not been discussed or thought about must know a lot more about you other 4 members than they do about me. But I've covered this stuff in a lot of different features, totally unrelated to any service, just recently on this board. So I'm happy to disregard anything else that has come in anecdotally out of order, is officially part of the record, or just noise. So that's my lengthy conclusion.
Thanks, Alan. Anyone else? So the next step would be to vote on the decision, I believe. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, then we're,
Excuse me, Chair, I have a hand up. Evelyn Conrad's hand is back up. It was up before. She put it down. Now she has it back up.
We're past public comment, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Okay. I think we should move to the vote, please.
You're making a motion to vote on the application, Tony?
Yes, I am.
Does somebody want to second that?
I will second
Are
it.
you making a motion to approve?
Yes.
Affirmative.
Okay.
Seconded, affirmative.
Antoinette?
Yes. Chair, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tony, how do you, Mr. Piazza, how do you vote?
Aye.
Miss Claire, how do you vote? Aye, you said? I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Aye, okay. Miss Cowell, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mr. McFarland, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay.
So that application is approved unanimously. Next application on the agenda is 99 Sanford Place LLC.
I can summarize if you like where we're at. We have, we had the public hearing on this application last month and it was closed, at which we had the applicant's neighbor come out in favor. The applicant's, the neighbor who was most impacted, actually is the only neighbor that's impacted as far as the improvements go, or the driveway.
Yeah.
And at this point, this is a sketch plan application, actually, even though they have come back, they've had a pending subdivision in the past. So procedurally, I'd recommend that the board move ahead with a sketch plan approval next month. And there are a number of recommendations that we would put in that resolution, but it would be a resolution recognizing that this is a minor subdivision that, you know, doesn't require a road, but gives input on the types of information that would be required with the final application, including the covenants that would be required, the improvements that would need to be made to the driveway, for example, before they get a CO on a new house, installation of drainage, and restoration of existing pavement. So there's a number of things that came out of the referral process for this that should be done at the final subdivision stage. And and also they need to get health department approval. So I could work with Alice on that this month if everybody's okay with
Yeah.
that.
If you got the list, there were about 8 things in that list. You went too fast, but if
I'll
didn't
circulate a
really-
list.
I didn't realize they were all at stake. And this is a condition of our approval, or these are things we have to insist
Yeah,
be recorded to Alice's satisfaction and the village in the deeds.
it actually would be something that happens at the next stage. It would be giving them direction on what would be needed in the final subdivision application.
Thank you. Okay. And that goes back before us or the zoning
Mhm.
board?
Nope, comes back to you.
To us. Okay.
Yep.
There are no zoning or ARB issues left, I assume.
Right.
Well, based on the meetings that we've had so far on this project, it's changed somewhat. And so therefore, the final application will be different than what we started with.
I don't know about that.
Been some modifications and there's been some, you know, when we first started, there was going to be a fire turnaround and all sort of, I mean, there's definitely been some changes to it since we started.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually, they have kind of a hammerhead for a turnaround now. So
Yeah.
they have gotten feedback from Dean McNamara and that he's okay with that
Well,
configuration.
all of that and everything else you've said tonight just needs to be sort of summarized and built into the next stage, the next
Right.
application.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. So is it proper to adjourn for all purposes?
Excuse me, Chair, I do have David Gilmartin here. He does not have his hand up, but if you did have any questions, he is here.
None for me. Anybody else?
No?
No.
Get it before us. Be nice.
All right, well,
I'll move, I'll make the motion then that you suggested, Roy, that we approve at mutual request, approve adjournment of this application until our next meeting when a sufficiently detailed resolution will be prepared for us to approve.
Well, I don't think we need to adjourn.
We don't? Okay.
No, you can just authorize Kathy and I to work on the resolution for the next meeting.
Do we need to vote on that, Alice?
No.
Good.
So
We're not voting on they're doing the work. I'm all for it.
Okay, yeah, we already closed the public hearing, so we're good.
Okay,
Unless Kathy disagrees with me.
Not at all.
Okay.
okay, fine with me.
Okay, next.
Okay, next is the Baptist Church. Let me share my screen again. I wanted to bring that decision up. Where are we? Okay, so here's the agenda. The public hearing on this application was also closed pending sketch plan approval. And the board directed us to prepare a decision, which we have.
Yep.
And that is, make it a little smaller so we can get more on the screen.
Perfect.
Does anybody have questions on it?
No, I have no question. I have one disappointment that I tried to discuss with Curtis last time, which is the outcome on this, what I call alternative housing is absolutely fabulous, but not necessarily for the village especially. But there's nothing we can do about it when it comes to the financing. So I think it's a good idea to get it. And if there's a way to change the law, I would do it, but it's not in my reach.
That's with reference to you're not able to give preference to local applicants.
Yeah, how the applicants get selected and from which universe and for what impact in our tiny little village as opposed to even the town, much less the county. But other than that, which I can do nothing about, I would be in favor of our proceeding.
Yep. I have no questions. It looks good to me.
Okay.
Should I propose that we move to a vote?
I think that'd be good.
Okay, I propose that we move to the vote.
I'll second that motion.
Is that a motion to approve, Tony?
Yes.
You ready for me to do the roll call, Chair?
Yes, please.
Chair, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Cowell, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Claire, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. McFarland?
Aye.
And Mr. Piazza?
Aye.
All right, so that decision has been approved unanimously. Site plan review, 7 Powell Avenue, LLC.
So I know Stuart is here. This applicant, we got a revised plan from the architect. So maybe Stuart can just walk us through it a little bit and
That'd be
then,
great.
but I will have to review this. And I know there are things missing just based on a quick look. We will need a survey, we need drainage, we need some additional detail about widths, but let's hear from Stuart.
I just promoted him. Stuart, if you could just put on your camera and unmute yourself, that'd be great.
Hello,
Good evening.
good evening. I guess you guys can all see me and hear me.
I can.
Yes.
So this is the revised site plan showing a dedicated driveway without utilizing the MTA Belgian block in any regard to access the back of the property. And over the past 6 to 8 weeks, I've been working with Verizon and PSE&G because I will need them to change a power line pole and remove a guy wire, which you see indicated on the site plan. You see that dotted line that's going right across the MTA property to the corner of my building. That is a guy wire that's in the way of the driveway. So I have confirmation from PSE&G, they will be replacing that pole with a pole that does not require a guy wire. And I wanted to make sure that that was going to happen before putting this revised site plan before the board. When I was meeting with PSE&G, I inquired about another pole that I see is highlighted in yellow now. That pole is actually owned by Verizon, and I'm asking Verizon to move that pole about 10 feet forward to the edge of Powell Avenue there. And they have agreed that they will also be relocating that pole. And that pole is leaning very badly. And when I met with Verizon, they let me know that that pole is rotted at the base, and they've already added additional steel support to that pole to keep it up. So I think that that pole was already due to be replaced. And those are primarily the two issues that I've been working on over the past few weeks. And as you can see, the site plan shows parking for 5 trucks, and we added a lot of detail. I know that we have to have this superimposed onto a survey, but this is essentially what I'm proposing. And I'm available to answer any questions or address any concerns that the board may have.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes, go ahead.
So I don't see the new driveway on here. Is it going over the existing wooden scale?
No, the driveway, if you see the 2 trucks that are parked parallel,
Yes.
the driveway is the area just to the north of those trucks, where that cursor is. That is the driveway right there.
Okay.
So in this area, Powell Avenue, kind of the way the tax map shows, all of this area is part of Powell Avenue and the right of way. So that'll show up on the survey when we get the survey from Squires Holden.
To approximately which point? Can you point to it on this plan?
I can, it doesn't really show.
Oh,
I know
okay.
that this dividing line becomes the MTA right of way, but I don't know exactly where it starts here. So
Okay.
that will have to be determined. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, the driveway starts right where you had the cursor there. And it actually, Elm Street, according to the maps and the surveys I've seen, Elm Street goes right to the train tracks.
Okay,
So
okay.
the entrance, my driveway entrance would actually be off of Elm Street. And I would not be using the wooden way scale as an entranceway or a driveway into the property. The driveway would come straight off of Elm Street, not coming in from Powell Avenue.
That's helpful. Thanks, Stuart.
You're welcome.
I think that the survey, once we have the survey, that should show, the extent of the right of way for Elm Street. So that should make it clear.
Yes, I know that my architect Will is going to work with the surveyors and have this plan essentially superimposed on the survey, which will clarify that, I'm sure.
And are you going to be running a pool care company off of this property?
Yes, that is what I would like to be able to do, is to run my swimming pool company, Shinnecock Pools, from this location.
Just
And
wondering about how you would receive deliveries and.
Well, I would receive deliveries through the 2 bay doors that I'm showing in the site plan. And the deliveries would come right up my driveway.
Okay.
There are also doors on Powell Avenue. And it may be worth considering that I would be able to receive deliveries through those loading dock doors, which are on Powell Avenue also.
Yeah, because I don't know what, considering what size truck would be making deliveries. If the two trucks that are in the center of the plan are there, it would be tricky in and out, I think.
Yeah, those trucks would not be there when deliveries are coming in. Those trucks would all be out doing
They'd be on the
service
road.
work during the day. So actually during the day, I don't anticipate having any vehicles parked in the site plan as you see it now. That would essentially be vehicles that are parked overnight. And during the day, this would be essentially a completely open area. And
So
that
you
would
don't-
allow sufficient space for deliveries to come in, trucks to turn around, things like that.
Do you have any administrative people that would be working?
Yes, I do. I do
So where
have,
would they park?
office staff. They would park just off the site plan in the parking lot that is MTA property. And I would also like to point out that one of the benefits that I feel of this building for me is that my office staff can take the train to work. So how much parking I will need for my office staff right now, I'm not sure. I live in Hampton Bays and I will be taking the train. And so I think that's a benefit to me.
Anyone else? So Kathy, what are you looking to get from Mr. Andrews?
Well, I haven't reviewed this yet, so I need to go through it and see how it, meets up the checklist and then some of the issues that, you brought up are, those are site plan issues to talk about. So we haven't even really gotten to that yet.
Right.
So,
Yeah, Roy, we just received this today.
So, okay, thank you for the explanation, and we'll take a look at it, and after further review, let you know what else we need to find out.
Good luck and be charming with Bob Smith. To get him to do work on time is a challenge.
Stuart, I did want to
Okay.
compliment you on how great the building looked over the Halloween and the holidays with the
Yep.
way station there.
Oh, thank you very much for that comment, Jane. I appreciate that so much. That wagon I think is beautiful, and I have a beautiful image of what this building will be when I've really finished, fixing it up. And I think that it's going to be a great first impression for people when they're coming into Southampton Village on the train to see the weigh scale, to see the wagon there, and to realize what the history of this building really is. And I also think that by moving the Verizon pole that's directly in front of the building, that pole, it does not look attractive. It's leaning, it's rotted, and it's in a very bad location. And Verizon has been great to work with to improve that. And I have to say the PSE&G has also been pretty easy to work with on relocating, well, not relocating, but replacing the one pole that has the guy wire. So thank you for that comment, Jane. This it's a beautiful building, and I intend to make it even more beautiful as I work on it over the years.
Your re-shingling guys did a very good job too.
Oh, thank you very much.
On the southeast corners is materially improved.
Yeah, I agree. It's looking good.
well, thank you. Well,
Okay, so I'll continue to work with Kathy on getting this site plan superimposed on a survey for the next meeting.
And Stuart, if you have the existing conditions survey, you can send that right away because that might answer some of our questions too.
Okay,
Okay, thanks.
okay, yep, I'll send that out.
Thanks.
Okay,
Okay.
you're welcome.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yep.
Finally, this pre-submission from CGZ Development. I would
Mhm.
imagine the applicant is waiting, Antoinette, to tell us about this.
And yes, and they're going to share their screen. So I'm going to stop my share at this point.
Okay, I just moved him over, and David, just unmute and put your screen on, please.
Good evening. Good to see you, David Gilmartin, Farrell Fritz, 50 Station Road, Watermill, New York. And I represent CGZ. And this pre-submission conference references the property at 15-29 Prospect Street, which you old timers like me will remember as the old John Ducks. And it's currently being operated as Seasons Restaurant. My client purchased the property approximately a year ago and has leased it 2 seasons, who has operated it as a restaurant. We have put forth 2 plans to you. My clients are looking to convert the property to a multifamily use. One multifamily use would be, actually, they're both going to be for rent, not for sale units. The first application that I'll show you is a 26-unit fully affordable, proposed fully affordable project, and the second one is a 12-unit market value rental project. If I can share this screen. Can you see the survey that I have up now? Okay, so this is a current survey of the property. This is the restaurant, 2-story restaurant. There's also an office and 3 bedrooms upstairs. And then this is a 2-story single-family dwelling. They're actually located on the same lot, but do have different addresses. And again, this is has a CO for a restaurant bar. I believe it's a 225-seat restaurant. The first plan that I'm going to show you, hopefully. This is the first plan, which is the 26 unit rental. You know, the significant part of this application is that we do have to put a sewage treatment plan in to accommodate the units, which obviously drives up the cost. And then the units, did you get copies of these plans at all? I did submit them electronically.
I haven't seen them.
I haven't either.
I saw 'em. I don't understand them. Now you're giving me the story.
Right.
I don't understand them at all.
This is a pre-submission conference, right? So
Yeah, so that's fine. That's what we're supposed to do. And
Right.
you too.
Right. So this plan has 14 2-bedroom, 2-bath units, which are 900 square feet, and 12 1-bedroom, 1-bath, which are 700 square feet. You can see that the zoning and the site data is provided there for you. The second plan, this is the plan with the 12 units that would be market rate rentals. And those are proposed with six one-bedroom at 1,350 square feet and six two-bedroom at 2,250 square feet. Based on the current septic flow, we can accommodate this on site without a septic treatment plant, but I suspect that we'll have to upgrade the septic system as it exists, and I suspect we're going to have to do an IA system. We're not that far down the road with the health department, obviously, as we're here for a pre-submission conference. I'm sorry?
David, is that on the existing footprint? Is it using the existing footprint of the building that's there now?
I am pretty sure that it is, but I'm not certain, Mr. Piazza, so I don't want to represent that it is, but I think it's within the existing structure. I don't know if there may be some changes to the entrance that we need to do to accommodate getting into the different units, but I do think it's within the existing footprint. And then we do have some and this is what we would expect that it would look like. This is from Prospect Street as you're looking in. This is from North Main, looking west, right?
This is for the 12-bedroom, 12 unit.
This is the 12 unit, right? We haven't had an opportunity to do the 26. This is you're in the parking lot, sort of further west on Prospect Street, looking in.
So it's 12 vertically stacked sort of townhouse type things.
Yes, yeah, within the existing. I'm pretty sure it's within the existing footprint, but.
Well, if it is, you're going to have to get, like 2.5 story. You're going to have to stack them in a little bit because it's not that John Duck's not that big.
I think you'd be surprised, but we'll obviously cross that.
Oh, yeah.
When we get to it. My clients, as we were looking at this project, had initially done the plans for the 12 unit, and then it became apparent that the village had a need. So we pulled back and we did try to do a project that could be fully affordable. And that's where we came out with the 26. So if you get any bigger, I think, than the 12, it requires the septic treatment plant. As of now, the village does not have the restrictions like, say, the town does in their code. But, as we move forward, we'd work through making them affordable in perpetuity. And I think that would be their preferred alternative, would be to do an affordable project here, as they see a need in the community for it. But if the density is something that's not acceptable to the village, then we'd look to do the market rate units. And we're just looking for some insight from the board on which path to follow, and that's why we're here for the pre-submission conference. And happy to answer any questions now or as we move through this. I know it's a lot to lay on you in one spot and ask you to react. So I understand we'll need to come back at the next work session for you to have a reaction, an in-depth reaction that's needed for us. But again, happy to answer any questions now or at the next hearing or anytime in between.
I will give you off the cuff reactions. The area at the foot of the hill, the John Duck Hill, is I believe from all the stuff I've seen for the last 30 years, it is a major source of surface flood zone into Lake Agawam. So whatever your thoughts are on water authority and everything else, I urge you for your clients to get to them in depth as soon as you can, because it's a major feeder, particularly of surface water in flooding and everything else that goes directly into the Lake Agawam shed. The other item is on something affordable. You give me the impression, David, you might not want to, this is like a low-cost hotel. I mean, I want to know, how do you get occupancy and for how long? And I understand there's this market, but I'd love to get the theory of large.
Yeah, I mean, these will be rental apartments. I mean, I think that you're looking at a minimum year lease to
Okay, well,
get in, but
that's kind of new.
this,
It's
is not-
multifamily. It's kind of new for the village, and the question is eligibility and how's it going to run? It's the same thing we had for Curtis Highsmith. The village
Right.
needs something, and so be great if your client has the capacity to bear the burden early. So what's the scheme? It may be fabulous, but it's usually when you get into it, all sorts of hairs are imposed, and it'd be lovely to hear.
right, so I guess a couple of different observations at this point in the process. It's not going to be anything like a hotel. It's going to be, rental apartments, something like the Layton House, I guess, down the street from it, would be a fair comparison.
The condos on Layton Avenue, you mean?
Yeah,
Oh, nice. Okay.
those are, my understanding is those are for rental. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
They're privately owned and some people rent them.
The second thing that I would say is that this is going to be privately financed, so that some of the restrictions that publicly financed projects run into, we will not have those restrictions. Of course, we will meet all federal fair housing regulations that we're required to, but that being said, it is privately financed. And don't anticipate any governmental or public financing whatsoever. So restrictions are a little less would be a little less on this project if the board were to see fit to go that way than say other publicly financed projects.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Thanks, David.
So we'll look forward to getting some comments at maybe the next work session. And I can give my clients some guidance.
Get us the information.
Well, what do you, I mean, we're at a pre-submission conference of, there are two plans.
Well, we understand you're making choices. Tell us more details, I'm not smart enough to tell you if I'm just subtract some square feet, the bedrooms, all the stuff we need that falls in our lap to decide, particularly when it's multifamily. Everything from parking to the plumbing to traffic, the usual stuff, the checklist. You've done this before. This is not your first. So,
Right. I think that I understand, but we're here at a pre-submission conference and
oh yeah,
be guided on use. Once we decide on a path, of course, we're going to provide all of those site plan details and go through the secret analysis that we need to do. But
tell us if you want direct. You just said you asked us a question. I think which you would like direction.
Right.
We're not going to. We're not smart enough to begin to design this property for you, other than say, go to the slush fund, which everybody always says, and make it a park. Other than that, what do you want to do?
Well, what I've presented is two different plans here. One's a fully affordable plan with 26 units. The other is a 12-unit market rate rental plan.
Okay.
I understand that there may be some objection to the density that would be required for us to do a affordable plan. So we're looking for some guidance between one or the other plan. Is the density something that we feel meets the need that the village has and it's been stated as a need, or is that too much density and we should look to have a a more reduced yield here.
Oh.
That's what we're looking for as guidance. Once we have some guidance from the board on that, then, we'll come in with the fully engineered plan and go through all the details and go through SECRA like any other. But, again, right now, this is a pre-submission conference where, applicants look for guidance from the board on different projects here.
There'd definitely be more need for low-income housing in Southampton at this point, trying to keep some of our
Yep.
year-round residents able to live in the area. So I would say I'm leaning towards that only because I know there's a need for that.
You bet.
I agree. All things being equal, the master plan and everything we're talking about and to make Southampton Village better is to increase the availability of affordable housing. So that would obviously be preferable, but you can't really say until you can get some actual data as to are 26 units going to provide how much of an increase in density is that compared to its current usage? How much of an increase would that be over the other plan? Where's everyone going to park? All those kind of things. I mean, just off the surface, yeah, affordable housing. That's what we'd like to see more of in the village. But I'm not sure how much more I can tell you than that without knowing some more specifics about the plan.
Yeah, again, we're not asking for approval, but if the affordable plan is something that the board sees as doable, based on getting all of the information and going through the entire process, but it's something that you feel is doable and needed in the village, then we'd be happy to undertake, that process. Again, the density is the big question, and if that's why we're here. We're concerned that some people may view the density as too much.
I have density concerns. If you want us to start voicing our opinions, I have density concerns.
That's why we're here.
Yeah. I don't know if a village center is a place for affordable housing, just because the village is busting at the seams now with our grocery store not able to keep shelves stocked. So I don't know I think density, in my opinion, might be a driving force in this decision.
It'd be nice to know what else they've done and its reputation, quality, and so forth.
Yeah.
Much background as possible sure helps. It's up to you.
I'm also very concerned about environmental issues. If there were some solar panels on those roofs and.
Well, I think generally from an affordable housing perspective, it is preferable to have affordable housing in a village center where people can walk to resources.
I've done several affordable housing projects, and that's always been the one of the driving forces is to be within half a mile of the center so that people can walk to access resources. So that in that way, this fits in. It's obviously next to the train station, which can provide some transportation.
Right.
So locally, I'm not sure how many people are actually using it, but it is a plus.
Be interesting to compare. You worked on just the other multi-family thing that we've just done with you, David, was Beechwood.
Right.
So there you got, I don't know how many units are in there, but it would be interesting to compare densities and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, there's much more land there, and it's much more spread out. But I don't think Southampton Village should just be a place where if you can afford $1.5 million condo, you get to live. I think you've got to have other places. So if you can solve the other problems, but I don't think we can do more than give slight preference in terms of the consideration. We can't bend the rules to say, oh, well, let's shoehorn this in here if the density issue is too difficult to overcome.
My my initial instinct looking at it and considering the current use of a 225 seat restaurant bar, while, during COVID has not been super active, but if you had an operator come in that was able to recreate the John Duck's heyday, that a 26 unit affordable housing project that we're talking about is going to be less impactful than a popular restaurant. But that's just my instinct of how SECR will come out vis-a-vis traffic and those issues. But we have to go through it for that to bear out. But I'd love for you guys to look at it. Call me if I have any questions. Come back at your next work session, talk about it. But my clients would love to be able to provide the affordable housing in this spot, and I think it's a terrific opportunity to do it. So, with a little bit of encouragement, I think we'd undertake presenting that application. So we'll come back at your next work session, and if you have any further reaction, I know it's you're just seeing this. I can provide larger copies of these plans for you, or anything that you need in the meantime. Just let me know.
Okay, thank you.
Just to add something, so this is a pre-existing non-conforming use. It's in the R20 zone, Rennie?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so we already have a non-conforming use. So the bigger decision related to a change in pre-existing non-conforming use to another non-conforming use is to look at the benefits to the neighborhood and the benefits to the applicant. So those tests that the zoning board is going to need to go through. So I'm just a little concerned about having the planning board weigh in on some, something that is so much more dense than the alternative, which are 12 unit versus 26 units. One with the sewage treatment plant. To me, it's, if the applicant would like to move forward with the 26 unit affordable, and I'm just a little concerned about the planning board weighing in and the applicant saying, oh, okay, the planning board wanted this. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, I don't know how the planning board's going to come out, Kathy, but if there is some, like I said, some little encouragement that the affordable housing project, which is what my client would prefer to do here, if there's some encouragement to do it, but obviously then, we'll put a site plan application in and we'll go through SECR, and that the SECR documents will at least in part help with the decision for the zoning board. They'll, I assume, will be involved.
Absolutely, yeah.
In that process, and we'll see what comes out of it. But again, we're not. I mean, I don't think that we could represent that the planning board wants it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get some feedback so that we're not wasting everybody's time going down a road that the board doesn't see as feasible. I don't want to waste my client's time. I certainly don't want to waste your time. You're basically volunteers here, so we just wanted to get some type of guidance.
Okay, so I guess we just make sure that everybody has this package. If you don't have this package, then we'll make sure everybody has it. Take a look between now and the next work session. Give it some thought, and we'll talk again, right?
Sounds good to me. And again, I'm happy to provide anything that anybody needs. Thanks for your time, and I'll bid you good night.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rennie.
Thanks.
All right.
Roy, the other one was went ahead with Beechwood. It was ultimately the major improvement with as much reduction as could be engineered of a terrible non-conforming use to make it a better non-conforming use. So this doesn't really fit in what he did before. And I'd sure like to know who's behind it and what the other goals are. That would be illuminating to me. The rest of you may not feel that, but I want to know what they've done before and get a better feel for what the real outcome is.
It's a lot of work to make a presentation, but we can't be in the business of saying, well, if you go through all the steps to get this, we're going to think this is great. You got to know what the details are before you can decide whether it's great or not.
You bet.
All right, so Kathy, are we?
It's kind of a unique, it's a unique thing. It's usually when you're, doing a pre-app, it's more, would you like, you want the entrance here or here. So this is a, it's a lot to think about.
And the existence of this sale was made into a political campaign issue in the last trustee election. Not what they're doing, but the sale of the former John Duck, that sale was made into a major campaign issue in terms of the purchase of Todd.
I don't think we should talk about that here.
No, but we have to understand it for the community and for getting us to quote, make a recommendation. It is not only not what we should do, but what we absolutely shouldn't do, because we're getting into areas that are not in our legal or other mandate.
All right. I think Alice and I should talk this in the coming weeks.
Yep.
And think about the questions, because it's just an interesting,
Yep.
mission conference. It's the most interesting one I've ever been involved with. So
it's nice to be involved at this level in the early planning stages.
Yeah. And I mean, and if it's a question of, affordable or not affordable, but it's affordable with a lot more density and a sewage treatment plant. So it's like, so it's a balance, right? And there's a lot of questions. So, and how do you manage a publicly run facility? It's not a publicly run facility. If they're going to have it affordable in perpetuity and it's privately owned and they're going to be renting an apartment, right?
Yep.
I mean, I don't know how you control that. So I wrote a bunch of things down. So.
And is there a third? I'm fascinated if there's a third alternative. That's why I want to know what they've done before, if anything.
Okay. Before we go into the minute approvals, because I'm not sure, do we have the minute approvals ready for December? Do you have the minutes or no?
Kathy, I did not get the email from you. I'm sorry. I sent you an email even just during the meeting really quick to say I don't have them.
Okay.
I apologize. I did send them. I just don't, I don't know if something got blocked, but I don't have them.
Okay, so that has to wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
I apologize, guys. I don't know what happened. I don't know if there's something going on, but
Okay.
I know the month went very fast. Okay, but the other thing that we didn't talk about was that let me just stop sharing. At the last meeting, you asked me to write a letter on your behalf to the Planning Commission to copy the Board of Trustees. If everybody's happy with that letter, I can, get it ready for your signature. And if everybody's okay with it, you can vote I don't even know if you have to vote to have the chair sign it, but.
I was bold enough to make a few observations. You can ignore them if you want, but I hope you got them.
I did get them, Alan.
I got them and read them.
Yeah, I was worried about what do they call it? A trap for the unwary. We have one good idea, but I felt it needed to be framed intelligently in the larger picture. We have a movement underway with us trying to say these small lots are bad, with people saying even small lots should be improved by putting in multiple housing to rent.
Right.
People can make more money to stay in the village by getting apartments and extra occupancy in their properties. So there's a lot of currents going on. So we have to make this, I think our idea is a great one, but I think it has to be phrased with some precision. And I sent the letter to everybody. I sent it back to everybody. Look at your emails.
I'll check. Ellen. I'm
If
sorry.
Tony's my taster. I sent it up to the doghouse where he is, and I think he got it. So
You know what, Alan, I did read the letter, and I don't think that I got from your letter what I just understood you to say tonight.
yeah,
So-
I changed a few phrases to make it
Okay,
clinical about our difficulty with this large number of small
Right.
units, which are the history of the village. And we said, when it comes to dividing others up and so forth, we're really worried about the contrast between the 20,000 square foot one that the county is using for water and anything smaller. We're just dealt with that dilemma. And we
Right.
think that the village should deal with the laws and everything else to deal with smaller units in this problem that affects greatly the water, the drainage to all of the ponds. Halsey Pond, Cooper's Pond, Agawam.
ultimately the big pond.
Well, the big pond has the largest drainage ditch that has attracted attention because of the phosphates.
I'm talking about the big pond, the Atlantic Ocean.
Everything goes in that pond.
Right.
Water still goes downhill, I'm told. It all goes there. It's just where it rests on the way. When you throw the chamber pot out, it rests for a while till it gets to the Atlantic Ocean. I'm with you, Tony. You're right.
But your point about the movement underway in the village to allow accessory apartments is sort of antithetical to what we're saying. So
Absolutely. That's why I want
How-
to say, we're weighing forward with for some people it'll be viewed as a political objective, for somebody to be used as a land use objective, for some to be rich versus poor, everything that affects our village. So we need to get it in the right context, which it seems to me was this problem with less than 20,000 square foot lots from zoning and what you can do with them and the tension it creates for these other very important agendas for the village. And we asked the planning commission to review the topic, to look at the conflict. I think that's what we were doing. Kathy's letter was a really good one. I just fiddled with a few phrases to just position it with a little sort of broader reach. We're not telling them what to do. We're just pointing out the problem and something they should analyze when they get to this.
To me, it just needs to get some clarity so that so that our planning board does not become the court of last resort of people trying to stop things from happening
Yep.
or cause things to happen.
Either way.
I always say when it comes down to us, all we're doing is enforcing what the regulations are.
That's right.
I think there's not enough clarity, or else the regulations need to be reemphasized what they are so people understand it. It's not us deciding that this is good or bad. We're just allowing what the regulations say.
Yep. We called a planning board. We changed the law in 1927, I was told, so that we really don't plan. We have a planning commission that does that. Different name.
So Kathy, then in answer to your question, I think we need to review what Alan's done, what you've done, just a little bit more before we go fire it off.
Yeah, if you can't find it, I'll go look at my, which I'm only slightly good at memory, and try to send it again. I tried to edit it with the red ink and all that sort of stuff, and I couldn't get the computer to do it. So I did it differently. Everything I took out, I put in brackets so you would see where it was.
Okay.
And I put the new stuff in red ink, but I didn't do the drawing.
I can send it to you, Kathy. It
Okay,
looks like your email address might be wrong on here.
That would explain it.
Oh, I'm sorry. If she did, whatever I got wrong. Alice, if you have it, you're a savior. Thank you.
I have it.
So
Oh.
my question then is, to me, it would be good to get this out. The planning
Yeah.
committee meets monthly. So if we can agree, if I can modify it and circulate it, the question is, can Roy sign it in the meantime, if everybody is happy with it?
Fine with
Yeah,
me.
you mean just approve it through emails, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I want Roy to sign it before the toy fair. Let's go.
Right there, it's canceled.
So I'll modify it, I'll send it around, and if everybody weighs in that it's good, we'll get it ready for Roy to sign and get out the door.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Well, since we
All right.
don't have a minute to approve, we just need to let everybody know that our next meeting will be,
Let me share my screen, I guess.
January 25th.
The 25th.
January 25th, which will be a work session.
Yep.
Which will be at 5 o'clock. And then followed by the public meeting on February 1st at 5:30.
Yep.
If there's
Why are
no-
they different times?
Mm,
It had something to do with when the ARB met.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the ARB is a 7 o'clock meeting. That's why it was 5 on that last of the month.
Okay.
There we go. I thought it was to confuse me, Tony. I always get them wrong.
I mean, we moved it to 5. I mean, we could always move it, both of them to 5 if you all, if that preferred, but we moved it once before.
I think they're fine for now, personally.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Okay.
So if no further business, can we have a motion to close the meeting?
Are we going to keep zooming?
I think for the foreseeable future, this is meant to get worse.
Yes.
I understand it. If you're not a different color or 20 years old, you can't get a shot for a while. So this is, we got a problem.
At some point, Lisa has to become more than a face on a screen, though.
Well, I mean, now even the ARB is via Zoom. So.
Really? Okay.
Is
Everyone's
ARB
busy now.
Yeah.
Did an interview. We've done an interview for a big project, all on Zoom. It's the new world.
Hey, I'm just asking because those later dates, if I'm out of town, Zoom is quite convenient because I can join you.
It's true.
All right.
So do
We're
we
allowed
have
to
that
travel.
motion?
All right. I'll move that the meeting be adjourned, Chairman.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Adjourned or closed?
Adjourned.
Closed.
Closed, not adjourned.
Closed.
Closed, not adjourned. Excuse me. The
Semantics, sorry.
meeting be adjourned. Thank you, Alice. Thank you. The meeting be adjourned.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Nice
Bye.
to see you.
Aye. Good
Bye.
meeting.
Oh, appreciate it.